Are Neolithic Chinese jade bead discs out-of-place artifacts, too precise and advanced for their time? Why do they share similar tool marks with predynastic Egyptian stone vases?
Hi guys, today I want to discuss the claim that the jade bead discs of Chinese Neolithic Liangzhu culture are out-of-place artifacts because of their material hardness, high precision, and perfect circularity, which are too advanced for the technology known to have existed at the time. This is my 99th long video. Thank you for your continuous support on this truth-seeking journey. The Liangzhu culture dates to late Neolithic, 3300 to 2300 BC. A jade bead is a flat, circular disc with a central hole, typically made of knifrite. Neolithic jade in China is primarily knifrite with a hardness of 6 to 6.5 on the Mohs scale, which is a hard rock comparable to granite. Jadeite is another jade rock with an even higher hardness of 6.5 to 7, though is rarely used in Neolithic China. Although softer than jadeite, knifrite's interlocking fibrous nature makes it more resistant to breakage and fracture, thus suitable for tools, weaponry, intricate carving, and everyday jewelry. Knifrite's densely interwoven fibrous structure makes it significantly tougher than granite. People often wonder how Neolithic culture, without any metal tools or advanced technology, were able to carve these flat, circular, hard stone discs to such a high level of precision. Some stated that the discovery of the bead discs changed the course of China's archaeological history, and these bead discs are the most precise, unexplainable artifacts. But is it really so? Why was such a statement never mentioned in the Chinese archaeology community? Why experts who excavated and studied Neolithic jade cultures, along with their jade workshops, who have seen the finished and unfinished artifacts for decades, did not question the production of such perfect bead discs? In this video, I'll present you the historical context on these intriguing jade artifacts, including multiple predecessors of the bead discs from earlier cultures and their amazing jade relics. I'll show you the tools excavated from several jade communities and the tool marks left on work-in-progress objects, fragments, and finished work which jointly illuminate their creation methods. Additionally, I found that certain tool marks on the late Stone Age Chinese jade items very much resemble the markings on predynastic and dynastic Egyptian stone vases and granite cores, which I'll show later in this video. Certain marks even go back to the Paleolithic era, as they are present on the Denisovans and Neanderthals artifacts unearthed in the Denisova cave in Siberia. Are Liangzhu jade discs too advanced for their time? Are they out-of-place artifacts? This video will give you the answer.
Archaeologists often group the ring-shaped jade artifacts in ancient China into a single category of circular jades. Before the Liangzhu jade disc appearance, there have been several Neolithic cultures that created numerous B-shaped discs and artifacts. For instance, the Hongshan and Lingjiateng cultures feature many exquisite and delicate jade relics. Some are jade rings and disc-shaped. Circular and half rings were likely personal ornaments worn as bracelets, earrings, and pendants. Hongshan, Lingjiateng, and Liangzhu are regarded the three major prehistoric jade cultures in China, with Liangzhu being the youngest. FYI, in ancient China, the word jade simply means beautiful stone and did not strictly limit itself to knifrite or jadeite. In fact, some Liangzhu elite jade artifacts are made of serpentine, and some Neolithic jade items are made from quartz, an even harder material. The ring-shaped jade is one of China's oldest art forms, emerging at the earliest known jade culture, Xiaonanshan in northeast China, dating back over 9,000 years. A variety of knifrite jade rings, beads, and other artifacts, stone tools, and pottery were unearthed at the site, which predate the Liangzhu culture by 4,000 years. Some of these archaic jade relics have cone-shaped drill holes, signaling the use of flint-tipped drills. Also in northeast China was Xinlongwa, a mature jade culture from 8,000 years ago. It boasts translucent knife-right pieces in simple shapes that vary in sizes and thicknesses, which were carefully polished to a high luster. The slit-cut jade rings are usually found in pairs near the skull's ears in ancient burials and are proposed to be primarily used as ear ornaments. Some jade pieces have small drilled holes, which are probably worn as pendants, earrings, or charms. Xinluohua predates the Hongshan culture by 1500 years. Dated to 4700 to 2900 BC, Hongshan contains more complex, designed, knife-right jade artifacts, including jade dragons, birds, plaques, thin-walled hoop-shaped tubes, and discs with central holes. Hongshan's single-hole bead discs range from 5 to 15 centimeters or 2 to 6 inches in diameter, smaller than Liangzhu's discs. Hongshan also unearthed 2-holed and 3-holed bead discs, which lengths range from 5 to 10 centimeters or 2 to 4 inches. These discs are very thin, some around 3 millimeters, 0.1 inches at edges, with a subtle domed cross-section rather than a perfectly flat, straight-cut slice. Many discs and plaques have drilled holes, implying that these might be ornamental pendants of social status. Hongshan people seem to prefer their flat jade artifacts having thinner edges, which with light reflection gives the item a 3D look and a better luminous sheen. How did the Neolithic people slice hard knife-right into such thin pieces? These thin and delicate jade artifacts exhibit a deep understanding of the material's grain to prevent shattering and sophisticated knowledge of specific tools and methods to shape, grind, and polish jade artwork. The thinness of the discs and plaques might have practical reasons, done so in order to reduce the weight of the stone ornaments so they could be lighter to wear. Shape-wise, the Hongshan bead discs can be slightly off from being exactly circular. Some are created to be more squared with rounded corners, while Hongshan's jade bracelets are usually in very regular, circular shapes. Large drill marks and saw marks on Hongshan artifacts are typically sanded down and polished to achieve the desired smooth finish and high sheen. Yet certain traces remain visible. Some drill marks are preserved in small holes, where sanding and polishing tools cannot easily reach. Here is a Hongshan jade article in the Liangzhu Museum at Inner Mongolia. Even after polishing work, the horizontal lines created by a drill are still clear in the center. Semicircular or spiral drill marks on tight concentric lines can be seen on Hongshan plaques and jade axes. Thicker jade artifacts were drilled from both sides, and such a drilling method left distinct identifying features like biconical-shaped holes. The two drilled holes rarely meet perfectly, resulting in a partially misaligned, offset, or stabbed transition in the center. Such hole drilling methods were used by many jade cultures, including the Liangzhu and Lingjiatan. Here are artifacts of the Lingjiatan culture from 3800 to 3300 BC, slightly younger than Hongshan and predating Liangzhu. This culture highlighted diverse jade relics, from circular and half-circular stone rings and plaques, slit-cut circular earrings, sculptures of humans and birds, axes and knives, and different shaped beads, stone tools, tool marks on jade items, and slightly misaligned cores related to jade production are among some of the most interesting finds. On the jade axe, there are gently curved, dented markings near the base, which used to be mounted or tied to a wooden handle. Some Liangzhu bead discs have same-styled curved marks. These are saw marks generated by cord or string cutting. The cord or string was not the actual cutting tool, but a carrier to deliver abrasives to the cutting surfaces. The back-and-forth movement of the flexible string or strap saws frequently left traces of curved, shallow, concave cut marks. Because this sawing process was slow, the artisans could monitor and adjust the cutting angle, alignment, and progress. People suspect how Stone Age cultures carved and drilled hard stone such as knife-right. The secret is in the abrasives. Abrasives were essential in ancient lapidary. They enabled craftsmen to cut, shape, and polish materials harder than their stone or metal tools. Ancient Chinese named the abrasive sand they used in jade carving, jade cutting sand. A mixture of water and hard mineral sand, such as quartz, garnet, or corundum, which are harder than nitrate on the Mohs scale, have been known to be crucial in Chinese jade production. Jade is vital in Chinese culture, representing virtue, protection, and high status. As a testament to the prominence of jade, the Chinese language preserved many ancient proverbs and idioms associated to jade and jade production, such as stones from other mountains can be used to cut jade, originally referring to jade cutting sand and stone tools. And now this idiom means advice from others may help one to improve oneself. And this proverb, jade cannot be made into a useful object without being carved. A person cannot become competent and useful to the society without being educated. Further, there are 4 Chinese verbs to describe the technical stages of jade making. 切磋琢磨 literally means cutting, grinding, carving, and polishing. Together, these phrases illustrate a multi-step jade carving technique. Later, this idiom metaphorically describes the process of exchanging ideas, sharpening skills through mutual discussion, or polishing one's character. These verbs gain their meaning directly from the laborious procedure of turning raw, rough jade into a polished, exquisite, and valuable artwork. In contrast to earlier and contemporary Neolithic Chinese circular jade pieces, Liangzhu bead discs are generally significantly larger and heavier, typically ranging from approximately 10 to 25 centimeters, 4 to 9.8 inches in diameter, with some of the largest ones exceeding 30 centimeters or 12 inches, and featuring central holes between 3 to 7 centimeters, 1 to 2.8 inches. Liangzhu's bead discs are often too big and too heavy to be worn as jewelry. Instead, they are found in large numbers in elite tombs, covering the bodies of the deceased high-status individuals from head to toe. It's argued that the bead discs symbolize the heavens, social status, and cosmos, commonly paired with jade Cong tubes to facilitate passage to the afterlife. But did the ancients really need piles of bead discs to facilitate passage to the afterlife? Why cover the entire body, including the face, with jade? I have a different opinion on why Liangzhu's royalties were buried with so many jade discs. The earlier nearby Liangzhu culture also have the jade covering body burial custom. A minor difference is that the Liangzhu elite's bodies were covered with large jade axes or rectangular jade slabs. This indicates the idea was to use large pieces of jade to cover the body. Whether with bead discs or not might not be that important. The reason for this custom probably originates from an ancient belief that jade could preserve the deceased body from rotting and possibly acts as regenerative in the next life. This burial custom lasted for thousands of years. Later in the Bronze Age, jade pieces were customized to form face masks to put on the deceased. In the Iron Age, Western Han Dynasty around 200 BC, this tradition evolved to a full-body jade burial suit. Therefore, I think the large numbers of bead discs in Liangzhu elite burials were placed there for the belief of preserving the body.
Archaeologists have documented that Liangzhu bead discs covering the bodies are made of low-grade nitride and of inferior quality, which is understandable because these were considered burial jade, cursorily produced to shield the body rather than the real funerary offerings, the ritualistic jade items and ornaments that were finely carved with good materials, which were worn or used by the living in rituals, ceremonies, and to show prestige. Such ritualistic jade objects are placed in prominent positions in tombs, often near the head, stomach, and chest of the deceased. Now, are Liangzhu bead discs, as claimed, really perfectly circular, flat, and free of any abrasion marks under magnifying glasses? Are they out-of-place artifacts that are too precise and advanced for the technology known in Neolithic times?
Did this statement come from someone who physically measured bead discs, or a judgment derived from visual inspection? How many bead discs did they measure? Museums and archaeologists who have access to and examined such artifacts actually recorded that the Liangzhu bead discs are not perfectly circular. Despite being polished, the surfaces may still retain evidence of their manufacture, such as unevenness and small grinding lines. Since certain bead discs were displayed with only one side exposed, the hidden side may have kept string saw marks. The bead disc's central holes frequently show drill signs, such as a sliver of extra material left at the end of the drilling or concentric lines from tube drilling. Sawed open raw jade blocks at Liangzhu sites exhibit cutting signs associated with two types of sawing or cutting techniques. One type is the string sawing mentioned earlier, predominantly used to cut large stone blocks. The other is from a rigid stone saw or wooden knife, which left straight cut marks and a sawing pattern of roughly parallel straight lines. The rigid saw was used to cut and shape small objects' outer edges with a series of straight cuts. Many discs' central holes were drilled from both sides, and this drilling method left distinct biconical-shaped holes with a central ridge or ledge in the middle where the two bores meet, and drilled cores that contain two cone shapes jointed together. As pointed out earlier, the same drilling practice was used by many Neolithic jade cultures. It's normally believed that bamboo, reed, and hollow bone pieces were used as different-sized tubular drill bits to deliver abrasive slurries to abrade and drill the hard jade stone and other harder materials like carnelian and quartz, which were recovered from archaeological digs. Modern experiments with string saws, stone, and bamboo drill bits have created similar tool marks on jade as the ones on Neolithic relics, verifying the possibility of such tool use. The circular or spiral drill marks and tight concentric lines on ancient Chinese jade items remind me of similar markings found at predynastic and dynastic Egyptian stone vases and granite cores. Here are comparison photos of tubular drill marks on ancient Chinese and Egyptian stone artifacts. The thicker Liangzhu cores were removed from the centers of the stone tubes. The large jade cores were probably drilled using bamboo tube drills, as Neolithic Chinese cultures had no metal, while the Egyptians might have used copper tubes. Some Liangzhu cores and drilled holes show visible concentric striations, just like the Egyptian granite cores. These even, spiral, or concentric-looking lines were caused by the hard, abrasive mineral grains during the continuous rotational drilling processes. Liangzhu jade cores are slightly tapered, a feature also observed in Egyptian granite cores. Tube drilling on stone often produces a slightly tapered core due to a combination of mechanical wobbling, wear pattern on the tool, and dynamics of the abrasive slurry used. As we see on the stone cores, both ancient Chinese and Egyptian cores are cone-shaped, narrower at the bottom, because the drilling action becomes less efficient for the tool shifts as it cuts deeper. I also find that the straight, rigid saw marks on jade fragments of the Neolithic Chinese cultures share resemblance with the saw marks on ancient Egyptian stone. They both have straight, parallel, shallow marks. Speaking of drilling, the small drilled holes with circular lines on Neolithic Chinese jade artifacts were created by solid flint drill bits. Similar markings even show up at the Paleolithic site, the Denisova Cave in Siberia. This cave is a treasure trove, occupied by hominins, including Denisovans and Neanderthals from at least 300,000 to roughly 50,000 years ago. The world's earliest stone bracelet with a drilled hole was uncovered here, along with bone needles, stone and ivory tools, ornaments made of ostrich eggshells, and stone artifacts like rings of different sizes and materials, and pendants with holes. The precision and symmetry of the 8mm 0.3-inch diameter hole on the chloride bracelet pointed to a drill with high rotational speed and minimal side-to-side fluctuation, possibly done by an early machine, such as a bow drill or a pump drill. These drills represent a significant technological leap in rotational velocity and precision, and are classified as high-speed rotary tools, allowing a craftsman to maintain steady pressure while spinning the bit at several hundred to over 1,000 RPMs. Researchers purported that this high speed is what produced the specific microscopic wear patterns found on the bracelet. The tight concentric lines not only resemble the drill marks on Chinese Neolithic Jade articles, but also the tool marks on predynastic Egyptian stone vases and mace heads. It's quite possible that similar tools, bow or pump drills, were used in the production of all these artifacts.
From the drill hole on the over 50,000-year-old stone bracelet in the Denisova cave, we learned that our ancestors and hominin cousins were far more sophisticated than previously thought, and the ring-shaped stone relics in the cave displayed that this circular stone form had an extraordinarily long history, tracing back tens of thousands of years. The Neolithic Chinese jade culture with round stone rings was a branch of this extensively long continuation of Stone Age carving tradition.
One of the most significant findings of the Liangzhu and nearby jade cultures is the great number of stone tools specialized in making jade objects. A ton of flakes and fragments, cores, stone tools, finished and semi-finished stone and jade products, and a large amount of raw materials were unearthed at multiple sites that are deemed to be stone and jade production workshops. For example, at a site predating Liangzhu, archaeologists discovered various quartz tools and finished quartz artifacts such as the slit-cut circular earring and a few arc-shaped ornaments. At Shenjiafan, a Liangzhu site, a lot of stone tools were uncovered. Stone hammers, anvils, axes, knives, drill bits, rollers, pestles, and grinding stones. Some documented that grinding tools or whetstone seemed to be the most numerous. These stone tools, jade cores, unfinished artifacts, and other fragments with tool marks provide key insights in the study of jade working techniques during that period. The consensus on the working process of jade Cong is like this. Blocks and cubes were cut from boulders of jade raw material via the string sawing method. Then a central hole was drilled using a tubular drill aided by abrasives. Depending on the product's thickness, a biconical drilling was frequently utilized, followed by cutting corners and other detailed reliefs. Lastly, the surface was polished with hides, rubbing stones, and other finer abrasives to create a sheen. The cut-off materials were utilized to create a variety of smaller and thinner jade artifacts. I think the Neolithic Jade bead discs were likely done in a similar sequence. A square slab was cut first, then a central hole drilled. Guidelines were drawn on both sides of the slab, corners sawed off. The shaping of the outer circular form might have been achieved in several ways. Smaller stone rings' outer edges could be cut through bigger tube drills. Large diameter circular jade items that exceed available tube drill sizes have a few choices. A primitive way was to place the jade disc to be on a wooden stick through the central hole. An artisan then held the stick on both ends, adding abrasives, using the stick as a wheel axis to roll and grind the disc edge on a grinding slab. A more sophisticated way was to mount a jade disc on a long stick through its central hole vertically. A person then used a rope to rotate the stick in oscillating movement, while the other worker held a grinding stone and added abrasives to grind down and shape the disc. Or the disc could be mounted on a big pump drill or bow drill, though this time the goal was not to drill, but to make the jade disc rotate at a high speed. The drill end would be lubricated with oil or water to ensure smoother rotation. One person operated a drill to generate and maintain a high-speed rotational motion, and another artisan placed a grinding stone to grind down the disc to an ideal round shape. Some researchers also suggest that perhaps lathe was used to rotate the bead discs while their outer circular shapes were carved.
The circular drill signs, curved saw marks, and straight cut marks are considered evidence of manufacturing that demonstrate the intense handmade nature of these ancient jade relics. Thus, the Neolithic jade bead discs are not out-of-place artifacts. They are not perfectly circular, perfectly flat with no abrasion marks as claimed. Instead, they were created through an extremely laborious process that involved slicing, cutting, drilling, and grinding, and contain imperfections. On another note, Neolithic Liangzhu jade cores and drilled holes with concentric lines resemble ancient Egyptian granite cores and stone vessels interiors, which confirms these stone artifacts were likely created through similar ancient drills. This is my 99th long video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you are new to my channel, please subscribe and share with others. You can also support me on Patreon, which is a monthly charge, or on Buy Me a Coffee. I appreciate your support. This is Curious Being. I'm Tina. Thanks for watching and see you next time.